All right, so the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is just go ahead and open up a new document in Photoshop. And that's basically just File, New, and then you're going to go ahead and create just a simple US paper, an 8.5 by 11, nothing fancy, but it's basically for you to take a moment and learn about this mixer brush, okay? So this mixer brush is, it's pretty amazing, and there's some specific ways on how you guys need to use it. So make sure that you just watch carefully for right now. I'll give you a chance to kind of mess around with it, but don't try to do as I'm doing. I'd rather you use this as a resource later to kind of recap, okay? So if you click on your regular brush tool, click and hold, you will find at the bottom there's a mixer brush, okay? That mixer brush will take whatever brush you have loaded, and it will allow you to put a color down. So I'm going to just put black, for example. So you see what color, or sorry, what kind of brush I have. I have a softened brush. It's a pretty small brush. I'm going to use my brackets. I'm going to make it bigger. And I just want to show you, kind of what that looks like, okay? So in this case, if I go, you can see I've got wet. That's how wet is the brush. Is it a really, like a thick paint, like oil paint? Or is it very watercolor-like? So the higher this number, the more watercolory the brush is. The load is kind of like how much paint is on that brush. Did you like to get like a big old glob of it, or is it very little? And then you have mixing ability, which is when I put this color down, how much will it mix with what's behind it? And then you have your flow, which means as I click and drag, how quick will that paint go onto the surface? Okay, I will tell you, I kind of play around with these numbers, but you'll find what you're happiest with. Now, what I will say, though, are the brushes that actually look like bristle brushes, those are the ones that you're likely going to use. You can see my icons are a little bit bigger. Some of yours may be very small. So what you can do is you can go into your settings. You can also go ahead and then click on large thumbnail. If you have the small ones, for those brushes, again, it's a little bit more challenging to see it. So what you want to do is you want to choose that large thumbnail so you can see it. This is one of my favorite brushes, these two right here. And if you hover over the top, well, you're supposed to see what the name of the brush is when you hover over the top. I think it's being a little laggy right now. But when you hover over the top of yours, you should actually see the name of the brush, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my regular brush tool. And I'm going to go ahead and just put down, silly me, take a look. It's in grayscale. And it's just what happened. I'm going to go ahead, image, mode, and I'm going to change that back over to RGB color. If you ever have that, you just have to make sure that you've got this in color in order for color to show up. So if I put some colors down on my surface, you can see right now with a regular brush, that's what I get. But as I go back to my mixer brush, I'm going to go ahead and use some yellow over the top. You can see that it's sort of half, little heavy on the load, very mixy. So if I come in here, got stuff falling on me, sorry. If I come in here, you're going to see, first of all, it's thinking a lot. And then we're going to have a bit of a problem because it's got to catch up with us. So all right, so again, I've got my color on here, and basically what I'm doing is I'm adding that color in. Let me zoom in. You can see it a little bit better. I'm adding that color in, and you can see that it's actually mixing in with the colors that are down there, okay? Now, when I go into nothing, I do get a little bit of that color. If I start here and I click towards this way, I'm going to pull some of that existing color out. So it's really important that you think about wherever you're pulling from is where you're going to get color, okay? So if I'm pulling from the white, it's going to pull that in and mix it with a little bit of yellow along with the red. If I'm pulling from the red, it's going to pull that red out and mix it. If I just sort of scrub in an area, you're going to see that it's going to, I've just scrubbed 3 times with like I would say maybe a 2-second click. You can see I get a little bit more happening. So basically what you're doing is you're experimenting with the mixing, and you're kind of seeing what different brushes do. And that's the very first thing that I'm going to ask you to do, is experiment with that and see what each of these brushes do, just to kind of get a feel for the brush work, okay? And after that, we'll probably continue this video. You can see mine's very much laggy. If you have anything open with it, I definitely recommend that you close it down. Don't have anything open. It's kind of a hog for your memory here. So again, I can make that bristle brush smaller. I can take little movements and move those over, but don't do too much before releasing a click and giving it a chance to catch up. And then we're going to transition then over to an image, and how are you going to use that mixer brush in an image. So between now and when this video returns, I'm hoping you can get a little bit of experimenting with this, trying different colors and seeing what happens as you're mixing different things in, and then finding an existing photograph that we could practice our technique on. Don't practice on your photograph yet. There's some special ways to work. Okay? So that's what I'm going to ask of you right now.